Following on from the two applique videos that I've recently uploaded, there was one on the hearts and another one on those leaves. I just wanted to show you the quilt blocks for my RAG quilt. I've been making progress. I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about what a RAG quilt is and how you assemble the blocks before I will start sewing them together in the next video. Traditionally, you would make your quilt top and add the wadding and the backing on the back. So you would have those three elements that you would add together before you do the quilting. But with this RAG quilting, you actually quilt each of these squares individually before you sew them together. And that makes this type of quilting really beginner friendly. It's a really interesting way to quilt, and I actually love all the texture that you have in this quilt that you get from snipping the seam. Flannel fabrics are quite popular for RAG quilts, but I just used normal quilting cottons and I wasn't quite sure to begin with, you know, whether I would get the same lovely bit of fraying. Because I haven't seen much online with quilting cottons, but as you can see, the fraying isn't an issue. It looks really nice, and it's been washed I think 2 or 3 times since I finished it. And the reverse is a totally different colour scheme, because I thought it's quite nice to have a spring side sort of with pastel shades, and have a darker side with a fray, which is a bit more wintry. This is the reverse of the quilt, and you can see here that I quilted each individual block just with an X through the middle to secure the wadding inside. When you choose your fabrics, just bear in mind that whatever is on the back of the quilt will come through a little bit on the, on the side with a fray, because it shows through as soon as you start snipping. So, just bear that in mind. I've just taken one of the squares apart that I had prepped, just to show you how it goes together. Now, you can make these any size really. Just have a think what the requirements are for the quilting. This wadding can be quilted as far apart as 8 inches, which I think is pretty much the widest I've personally come across. Other types of wadding, they may need to be quilted maybe 4 or 5 inches apart. So depending on that, you need to make sure that you design the quilting accordingly, really. My backing is the same size as the top, and I've decided to do that in 9 inches square. And because of the snipping of the seams, you actually need to have a much larger seam allowance than you would normally have. And I am going for a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. That means that the squares of wadding that I've cut are 7.5 inch square. And all you do really is you have the nice side, the right side facing down, and then you add your layer of wadding, and you put the top on here, and you just add a few pins. Now, I've prepared the applique, and I'll link the videos above for you that I've done that you can watch. And the next step after I've pinned this is to add some top stitching around the applique, and I've done this lovely blanket stitch here with a machine, and I've actually added a decorative border I've actually varied it. I'll just show you a couple of the other squares. So this one's got a zigzag stitch as a border. And here I've done a nice wave, which is again another decorative stitch that my machine has. But you can also add some hand stitching around the applique as well as a border. And adding this border really keeps the wadding in place because the seams are just off the wadding when you're adding all the squares together, and you don't want that sort of bunching or shifting, you know, when the quilt is being washed. I want to add a really important word about the positioning of the backing fabrics. I've made my life really easy by choosing lots of sort of neutral tones from the Moda Grunge range, which means that it doesn't really matter, you know, which square goes where. So if you have backing fabric that has lots of different patterns and you want them to be arranged in a certain order, either maybe because they're directional or you might want to spread around certain designs, lay them out row by row, so the whole quilt back, how you want them to be. And then you would add what goes on top. But obviously, we don't want the right side facing up. What we want is the wrong side to go on the back of the wadding. But because you don't want to just turn each individual square around, because that would put them in the wrong position, what you actually want to do, in order for the flower to remain second from the left, and I know this is counterintuitive, but trust me, you want to turn them over and also switch them round. Just like as if you were flipping the quilt over. Because there's an odd number, the middle one actually stays in the same position, you just put the right side facing down. So when you now add your quilt top and pretend all these individual squares have been quilted and joined, when you flip the quilt over, so imagine these are all joined, the flower is again in the position second from the left. I hope that makes sense. It's totally up to you how wide and how long you want to make your quilt. And I decided to have 8 squares per row, and I want to make it at least 9 rows long. But if I have enough fabrics left over for a 10th row, I'll probably add that so that it has a nice oblong shape altogether. So I'm going to finish off the last of the blocks. I probably have another sort of 10, 12 or so to go. And then I'll be back for another video and show you how to attach them. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you fancy quilting along and making a rag quilt of your own.